Hello everybody and welcome to Cooking with Chef Hunt. So today what we're going to be making is a great sandwich there with some egg, some different types of meat. So let's start off. We got our cheese, which is just some sliced singles white cheddar cheese from Kraft there. And then we got some eggs. I will not be using all four. I just left them in the container. I'm only using 2 for this recipe. And then we have our meat. Remember folks, light and less fat. That is the way to go if you're looking to get that taste of meat for a little bit less calories in your day. You got salami, you got smoked ham, and some bologna there. It's a great variety. So next up we have condiments. We have sriracha sauce. My personal favorite. I really enjoy the taste of sriracha sauce, and I really enjoy spicy food in general. So sriracha sauce is just a little bit spicy, not spicy compared to some things, and it's very good to have if you can't handle spicy food but want that taste. Next we have Miracle Whip, or mayonnaise. Calorie wise, because I mean, obviously, right? Let's get that facing the right way here. There it is, the Miracle Whip from Kraft. Calorie wise, because we're trying to watch our weight. Obviously, why wouldn't we be making a sandwich at 3 a.m. if that's what we're trying to do? Next we have classic yellow mustard from Frenchies. I have no idea how to pronounce their name now that I look at the title. So yeah, it's classic, it's yellow, it's of course mustard. Everyone's favorite. Next up, we have our bread, which is just going to be the complement whole wheat, 100% whole wheat bread. I'm not going anything fancy, not doing anything over the top here. And vegetables. What we're going to be putting on this one is half of a orange bell pepper, a sweet pepper, so it's not a spicy pepper, don't worry about that. They taste really good. So that's some added bonuses that they're very high in nutrients. And then our lettuce. This lettuce is primarily water. It's like eating a sheet of water, pretty much. You're not really getting any nutrients from it. It's just there to say, hey, I put lettuce on something. It's semi-healthy now. No, it's not. Okay, so let's get started here. First things first, we're going to crack 2 eggs into a bowl. So the first one here. Yes, no eggshells. Okay. And now we're going to move on to number 2. Give it a good hit off the table. And crack into the bowl. An eggshell. Of course, I mean, when you're cracking it with one hand, it's gonna not be the greatest. So let's just grab that out of there. There we go. All eggshells are now out of the spot. So now we have our sea salt here that we're going to be putting in our eggs. Not too much, not too little. And ground black pepper. I go with ground. I could go with freshly ground pepper seed holes, but we're going to take just a tiny, maybe half a teaspoon there of ground black pepper and a pinch of salt. This is really just salt and pepper to taste. I prefer having a lot of pepper and a little bit of salt there, just so it gives that taste of good eggs. Without it, it's kind of bland, and I like everything bland, not everything, but most things. And food is definitely not one of them. So yeah, just a good half teaspoon of salt as well. Just so that in your eggs, and from there you're gonna end up going over to the fridge and grabbing your milk, and you're just gonna pour that on into your eggs there. I use lactose-free milk. I'm actually lactose intolerant, but forget about that when I eat the cheese later. So just a small splash there, not too much. This is just to give it that nice light consistency to it, a lot less viscous than what it would be without it. So then you take a fork and just give it a good stir, a good mix, sorry, not a stir. you want to break up the yolks and mix everything all together so you get this sort of light yellow color. Once you get that yellow color, you put that into the bowl and just leave that until your pan heats up with some butter in it. So as you see here, we have that light. You want to get it kind of foamy, not too foamy at all, but like you want to see some bubbles get formed. That shows that the air is actually inside of the eggs. It'll be a lot fluffier of an egg once finished. So there we go. Next up, I'm gonna plate out our lettuce. So I'm just gonna use one whole leaf of the lettuce and just split it into 3 sections. So the bottom section there, and the middle section, and the top section here to top it off. I think I split it up into a little bit more pieces than just 3. I think it was 4 or 5 here. I'm of course doing commentary. Oh no, maybe it was just 3. I don't remember. 4 or 5 maybe. No, just 3. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing the commentary after I made the sandwich, of course. And yes, it was delicious. So then you want to just clear off all the white insides of the pepper here, just because that stuff isn't tasty. It's pretty much just fiber, and it won't hurt you if you eat it, but it's not good to eat it. It's not meant to be eaten, I should say. So you just want to cut that away. And then make sure you get all of it out. See that one chunk there that I left? You'll see why I left that in a second. So flip it upside down, cut directly down the middle. Make sure your cutting area is clean though. That is very dangerous to have excess food or excess whatever you're cutting left on the cutting board. Really, it should be 2 fingers in behind 1 finger, so that way you don't accidentally cut off a finger. But once again, I said it's 3 a.m. It was actually 3:30 a.m. when I made this sandwich. I was pretty hungry. And thought, I might as well film it. I show enough of it on my Instagram, so I might as well show it here too. Chef Hunt Cooks is my Instagram. And I'm just going to julienne the pepper here. Just, nice slim cuts. I know it's not a perfect julienne, but I'm tired and want food. There, that's the technique I was saying earlier. 2 fingers in behind the front finger to make sure that you don't accidentally cut the tip of your finger off. Very dangerous to be using knives if you don't know how. So from there, we're going to go and grab we're just going to make sure that our whole pepper is cut. And the reason why is so that way we can use it later on, of course. Yeah, so I use 1 whole half of a pepper, and then I just throw that on my sandwich, just as it is. I don't fry it. Nothing. It's just pepper on a sandwich, and it's pretty good. It also is chock full of nutrients, and it's very tasty. It's a very sweet pepper compared to peppers that aren't sweet and they are spicy. It has a lot of added health benefits to it, so a lot of people like to eat it. I read somewhere online that Elon Musk, to stop himself from getting scurvy, would throw red bell pepper into his ramen or something like that when he was in college, and that was all he ate, was that plus his red bell pepper, and he survived off that. So clearly, bell peppers are one hell of a vegetable. They have so many pluses to them. They're tasty, chock full of nutrients, they're healthy. People won't yell at you for eating them because they're quiet as well. And they're very easy to cut, so you just don't have to apply too much pressure. So yeah, just julienne your things there. And here's the technique that I was using. You pinch and fold your fingers around the handle of the knife there. And the reason why is so that way you have a lot more control that way. So now you want to take a pat of butter into the frying pan it goes. Just stir that around, melt your butter down. This is If you have olive oil or if you have your favorite type of oil, you can use that for your eggs too. Just make sure that just remember your oil will be you'll be able to taste the oil that you use. So for this, it's just margarine into a pan that you melt down, and then you throw your eggs on top of that, and it cooks that way. It's great. Tastes great. Not the healthiest, but I mean, the sandwich already isn't too healthy when I bring out the Kraft Singles cheese, you know? Alright, so that now is melted. I'm just going to grab a spatula here, and we'll get right on to cooking our eggs. Alright, so you want to pour your eggs into the middle of the pan. Don't do what some people do. They take it and they pour in a circular motion. I just pour straight into the middle and let it spread out, and that way your circular motion, you don't have a chance of spilling it if it's all going into the middle. And also, when you're doing it in that circular motion, you're causing a lot of the butter to get pooled into the middle of the eggs, and that can actually ruin a perfectly fine egg. So I'm just gonna take my spatula here and run it through the egg and try to make sure everything's cooking, and it seems to be cooking perfectly fine. So I want a finer egg than what the spatula can give me, so I'm going to use a fork now. Start mixing around with that. Also, you want to shake it around and like fill up the whole pan with it, so that way it can actually get all the heat from all the different areas of the pan. My oven is very slanted, so it leans forward, and a lot of the egg ends up not getting cooked quite as I would like. So I have to constantly push it to one side of the pan to cook it, and then I have to stir it out. So yeah, I use a fork to get that smaller sort of crumb onto it. You can see the eggs are definitely starting to get cooked now. See, this is a crucial moment where you don't want to let the eggs sit, and I think I do at one point by an accident and cause the eggs to actually stick to the bottom of the pan, even though there is butter in it. Eggs are very fragile in pans, and they're very hard to cook, even for experienced chefs. I'm by no means an experienced chef. I haven't even gone to culinary school. It's just you know, from doing my research and seeing other chefs and watching other chefs, this is definitely it's harder to do eggs than what a lot of people think. Oh, it's just eggs. Well, yeah, it's just eggs, but you also got to make sure you don't burn them, you don't undercook them, because if you undercook them, you could very well easily poison yourself with salmonella poisoning. So I'm going to go back to the spatula now just to get those edges that I can't get with the fork. So you see the egg peeling up nicely there. Beautiful eggs. Fluffy, yellow, yummy eggs. The eggs are definitely almost fully cooked now. So I'm going to continue folding them around, and then I'm going to throw some cheese on top while it's still in the pan. And the reason why I do that is so that way it can actually melt the cheese instead of just plopping it on and hoping it melts before I take a bite. Okay, and there's the cheese. Just letting air into the eggs now. Just making sure the eggs won't stick to the bottom of the pan either. So now that the cheese is on there, we're just going to let that melt. Nice and smooth on top there. You want to clean off any extra egg on top of the cheese, and that way it gets a chance to actually melt properly. So next up, plating. I'm just gonna put it on a piece of paper towel. It's late. I want to eat. I don't care about plates or anything like that. So what I do is I use a squeeze mayo and I just do an M shape, and then I take the butter knife and I spread it out onto the bread, and that way it's just an even coating. It's not really a technique, it's just what I do. There you go. Now next up we have our mustard, and a nice zigzag pattern down the middle is fine. And now we have our sriracha sauce. So a nice little drizzle of that for the taste of it. It won't actually overpower the sandwich and make it spicy. It'll just give you a nice little kick in the back of your throat when you do eat it. So now you got your meats, put that on top of there. So you get your bologna, salami, or no, sorry, salami, bologna, ham. Yeah, salami, bologna, and your ham. Next up, onto the sandwich goes the egg and cheese mixture. So what you do is you cook the eggs, cook the cheese on top of the eggs, and then you just place the eggs gently on top of the meat. This causes a lot less running throughout the sandwich and causes the sandwich to stay, the bread to stay nice and dry, so it doesn't become mush in your mouth, and that's not a very good taste. So now you're just gonna place your peppers. They're long enough that I can put them on this on sideways and just fill up the sandwich with them, which is great. And next we have our lettuce. One piece of lettuce there, second piece, third piece, and then your fourth and fifth and whatever else you have. Just to put all that you took out onto your sandwich. You don't want to waste food. Wasting food's not great. I did eat the extra piece of lettuce there later. And then you place your bread on top, and that is that. That is your sandwich, folks. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Chef Hunt Cooks, and stay tuned for more. So, we're going to just take a nice, quick look at this cross section here. Pull the sandwich apart, you see all the meats wanting to come out and come apart. And that is a beautiful cross section of egg and pepper and lettuce and meat. Thank you, everybody, and have a good one.